It's about 10 o'clock. I'm up here at the law school, finally finished up with schoolwork for the day. I can now get to what I've been sitting on all day. Tonight I'm going to introduce Climb the Mountain, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about planning and educating yourself to climb the mountain, and then a very important step in finding a guide. Let's start with just what is Climb the Mountain. So for me, climbing the mountain is a perfect personification of a career path, about following a passion, about finding something that you're so deadly set on that you'll do whatever it takes to start working your way towards that end goal. We'll probably talk a lot about Mount Everest just because it's one of the most recognizable mountains, but somebody that wants to climb Mount Everest doesn't just show up and climb Mount Everest. There's years of planning and training and physically and mentally preparing yourself for that expedition. And so when we start talking about pursuing a passion and finding success pursuing that passion, to me, that's the perfect way to visualize that. And it also really ties in well with why I decided to name Vertex Management Vertex Management. So Vertex has two different definitions. It's the top, the apex, the highest point of an object, or the second definition, every angular point of a polygon. So when I visualize what a vertex is, in my mind, I see a mountain. So it's the perfect combination of the two things that are going on in my life, pursuing a passion, and then actually the passion that I am pursuing in Vertex Management. So as somebody that's spent the last 5 years or so pursuing opportunities in the sports industry, trying to pave my own path, I've learned that it's going to be hard. Nothing goes as planned. You can have these grand plans in place, but once you're up on the mountain, you never know what's going to happen. So throughout this series, we're going to talk about when weather hits, what happens? When things that are outside of your control happen, how do you get through it? We'll talk to some other entrepreneurs about how they got through the tough times. And then we'll talk about things that are in your control, in attitude, being able to be persistent, to continue pushing even when it's not fun. But tonight I really want to talk about planning for this initial, even just getting to the mountain, educating yourself on what's going to happen when you get to the mountain, and then finding a guide. I think it's so important to find the right person, the right mentors, but we'll get into that here in a minute. But first, let's just talk about the planning and the education. So most people are at some point going to find what it is that they're passionate about. For me, it's the sports industry. It's about helping athletes and entertainers find opportunities to better themselves both on and off the field, the stage, wherever it is they perform their passion. And my passion is helping people. And so if there's ever a time I can help anyone listening here, please reach out. Austin at Vertex Management, VRTXMGMT.com. You can get me on Twitter at Austin T. Weaver or at VRTXMGMT, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I'm checking them all the time. So like I said, anything I can do to help anybody, always feel free to reach out. And I hope that you will share this with friends that maybe you think it can help. I would love it if every day I was answering emails, making connections for people that are pursuing their passion. So let's get into the planning. So as I mentioned, nobody just shows up at the mountain and says, I'm just going to climb Mount Everest. Now, people might, but I can't imagine many do, and the ones that do, I can't imagine anybody's been successful. That's a death wish. I mean, if you don't properly plan, how can you possibly make it to the top of the mountain? And then that moves into education. What are you doing every day to educate yourself to get a little further up the mountain? For me, when I decided I wanted to start a video blog, I went out, I bought the cameras, I bought the equipment that I was going to need. I had planned for everything that I was going to need to fulfill what I had in my mind. The one thing that I didn't have was, the technical skills with Premiere, with the Adobe software. So I spent the last month, I paid for an annual subscription to the Adobe software. Just started pounding away YouTube videos, just playing with the software, getting on, finding guides online on how to do certain things. And so I just started educating myself on what basic skills am I going to need with this software in order to make a video blog even remotely successful. And so I can even go further back in preparing for what I'm doing with Vertex Management. While I have a formal education in communications and working on a law degree and an MBA, that's not going to be for everybody. So if you want to be a videographer or a graphic designer, the formal education might not be required, but you still got to educate yourself in order to start pursuing that passion. Now, the last thing I want to talk about tonight is finding a guide. Now, in the Climb the Mountain example, climbing Mount Everest, we're going to go find a Sherpa. We're going to go find people that have been up the mountain before to show us the way when things get tough, that understand how to fight through adversity, that have fought through adversity, that are smart when it comes to knowing which battles to fight, when to move further up the mountain into the storm, or when to just stay at base camp and wait it out. So my thing is in 2017, and I've learned this through working with front office sports, is that there are so many people in this world that are willing to help. All you have to do is ask. With Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, it's unbelievable the advantage that our generation has. We can reach anyone in the world for the most part. Anyone that you could possibly want to talk to that may have already done something similar to what your passion is, that may be doing what your passion is. Right? We have the opportunity to connect virtually, physically, with anyone in the world. It just requires a little bit of effort. But it is crucial to having even the slightest bit of success in climbing the mountain, fulfilling your passion, finding ways to be successful in your career. But it comes down to, what do you have to offer? Our generation gets a lot of, they're lazy, they're entitled, and, sometimes it's true, but we also, we can use that to our advantage at this point. There's this preconception that we are entitled, that we're lazy. If you show up and you have created some work product for somebody, that's going to speak so much because of these preconceptions that people have. If you show up with a finished product that is immediately going to benefit them, obviously they're going to, at least give you the time of day. And it's simple. It just requires a little bit of effort. And so if we really, really want to shed this idea that we're lazy and we're entitled, then it comes down to simply doing, showing the effort, showing the want to, showing the drive. We can all be passionate, but are we driven? And that's the one thing that I've learned in the last couple of years, is that yes, I was always passionate about the sports industry, but was I actually driven to work in the sports industry? And you get around people that have, worked for all these organizations and had internships, and they've done all these things, and they've sacrificed, going out with the boys on a Thursday night, on a Friday night, so they can work, so that they could, drive somewhere and volunteer. it just requires some effort. And that's the easiest way to find a guide. It's the easiest way to find somebody that's willing to share their journey, that's willing to mentor you, help you through the ups and the downs. For me, it's been invaluable finding mentors in this space and learning from not only mentors, but also teammates, essentially. But we're going to talk about that at another point. But really, I really just can't focus enough on the importance of planning from the get-go and finding the right mentor and doing the work that is going to attract the right kind of mentors. So please just put in the effort. And if there's absolutely any way that we need to brainstorm how you could be beneficial to somebody, how you can get connected to somebody, reach out. Like I said, I'm always available, Austin at vrtxmgmt.com, on Twitter at Austin T. Weaver, or at vrtxmgmt, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, you name it, I'm there. Please, if you find any of this even remotely helpful or remotely interesting, please share it with your friends, tag them below.